Welcome along everybody to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. It is round 7 in season 16 of the Wheel2wheel Racing AL2 Championship, and we're here in the beautiful capital city of Azerbaijan. We're in Baku. Baku is located 28 meters below sea level, which makes it the lowest national capital in the world, and throughout this beautiful city they have put together quite a fun racetrack for us to enjoy. It's the Baku City Circuit, a 3.7 mile circuit, which makes it the second longest on the Formula 1 calendar. There's 20 corners, 12 to the left and 8 to the right, and 2 DRS zones and 2 great opportunities to overtake down into turn 1 and turn 3. We're going to have 51 laps of racing after a short qualifying session today, and the combination of long straights and tight, challenging corners should make for a great race to watch. Our tires are in the middle of the Pirelli range, C2, C3, and the C4. The soft C4 tire about 1.1 seconds quicker than the mediums, and about 1.7 seconds quicker than the hards. And we will see which tires and what strategies our drivers will go with as the first cars are coming out of the pits. Get qualifying underway. We look forward to another great race here at Wheel2wheel Racing.
Yeah, we had a fantastic race here on Wednesday with the AL1 League, so let's see how AL2 fare here in Azerbaijan, and we can already see there's a couple cars looking to go out on the medium tyres. So tyre strategy will play big into this track. It's a little bit difficult to overtake in the middle sections, but there's some long straights with DRS assistance which can help you get the overtakes done. So Blood and Sand is our first car out on track, looking to set a flying lap. He is on a set of mediums, driving for Haas today. So it'll be interesting to see the weather update on Wednesday. We did have some light rain towards the end of the race, but it wasn't enough to make it a wet track.
Yeah, it was a very awkward situation for a lot of our drivers in AL1, trying to make that decision for their last pit stops of whether to maybe try the intermediates or stick to the slicks, but ended up being better to stay on the slicks even though it was getting pretty wet there in the later stages.
As we see Blood and Sand coming round the final corner, albeit a very short kink in the road, coming down one of the fastest straights in the Formula 1 calendar, coming 209 miles an hour into the braking zone for turn 1, heavy braking into this left-hander. Plenty of space on his right there. We could have used a little bit more track, but heavy braking again into turn 2. This is the first DRS zone, so he's got his DRS open. He's being chased very closely by Dino, who's in the AlphaTauri, but heavy braking now into turn 3. Again, he's not using all the track available to him, which sometimes will be critical to getting the fastest lap as he crosses Xerxes there. Coming now into sector 2. Already that purple sector has been taken off him by the AlphaTauri behind, but now one of the most difficult parts of this track, coming into the castle section. Very tight to get through here and carry a lot of speed without catching the wall, but Blood and Sand does very well there. Again on the medium compound, so Dino behind him will have been held up a little bit if he was to be on his tail like he was before, but coming off to round off sector 2 now, and this left-hander going down the hill, which is difficult. Have to make sure you don't catch the outside wall. Finishing off sector 2 with a 117.4. Now pretty much the last corner that you want to brake for there, turn 16. Now you can pretty much go flat out round 18, 19 here, but as the tyre wear goes and as the weather conditions may change, you might see some people going into the wall there, but flat out now, DRS open, coming down the last start finish straight, and we are going to cross the line with Blood and Sand setting a 141.8 on the medium compound.
Yeah, you mentioned a couple of times not using all of the track available, but that was a comfortable, safe lap for Blood and Sand on the medium tire, just making sure you got a clean one in, kept it out of the wall. But Sega Takaz beats that time on the medium tire and puts it on provisional pole with a 141.885, which is then beaten by a letdown estate.
which is then
And Woody
beaten
Wolfie.
by Woody with a 139.3. That is a phenomenal try. I can tell you pole time here last season was a 139.7, so already beating those times, but I think AL1 time was a 137, if I'm not wrong. So a few more people putting their times in. James putting it into second place with a 140.5 on the soft tyres. James won here last season, so he will be looking to maintain his winning streak here, but he does have the competition cut out for him today with his in the shape of his teammate and Woody, who've both been very hot on his tail. But already Sega Takars is looking to be out of this race, and he is in the wall near where Grosjean kind of took himself out on the safety car.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happened. I'm not sure if he was on a flying lap or not. He already set a time on the medium tires, but unlucky for Sega Takars. But now our championship leader, Cal, in the McLaren, is coming flying down the start-finish straight and puts it on provisional pole, the 139.3.
Old Dad's about to cross the line now. What time can he put in? He can put in a 140.1, which is a relatively safe time on the soft tyres. Only just behind Xerxes.
Now we have Prev, looks to be the last of the drivers finishing up their first run of this qualifying session. Prev in the Ferrari crosses the line and goes 10th fastest. 142.075 on the soft tire.
Yeah, probably not the time Prev was looking for there, but still, the AL2 standard, it's not a bad time. Who else do we have on track? We have CHM, it's possibly coming in. But on the medium tyre, he could be going again, but in fact, I did just catch he was 4 seconds down from his previous time, so I don't think he is running again. So, comments on the stream. Got Kirk saying, sorry I'm late. Slugger out of the race yet? No, Silver Slugger is in the pits. He's not yet come out, but we do have one retirement in the shape of Sega Takars. Everybody coming in, obviously wanting to save the life of these soft tyres because they won't last too long around this track. Old Dad's on his way in. Cal, having set the current pole time, he's on his way in also. Rev possibly on his in lap. He's got a flashing fuel light. Yeah. James Laws is one of the only few ones out at the moment who hasn't put in a qualifying time. He's currently on his out lap, and he will have a lot of free air to put his time in.
Now James Laws coming through the last couple of corners. His teammate currently on the front row, but he himself's yet to set a time, so what can he do? He's on the soft tire and plenty of clear track ahead. Important to get a great exit here out of turn 2 and a long straight down into turn 3. Oh, and just a little bit wide there through turn 3, but just about keeps it out of the wall there through 3 and 4.
Yeah, Blood and Sand not using all the track available, but James not having enough track to use.
We'll see how he copes with the narrowest section that we have on any track in Formula 1 through the castle here in Baku. Takes it very nice and easy, but nowhere near any of the walls. That is neatly done by James Laws. Comes in towards the last corner in Sector 2, which is a very difficult corner downhill, but he manages to take it well, avoiding the outside wall. And now we'll just be flat out all the way to the line. And these cars got minimal fuel and fresh tires in qualifying. Those last few corners are easily flat out. And now James Laws goes 7th fastest, a solid lap for the Racing Point man, a 141.073. Now we've got his teammate finishing his 2nd flying lap. Can he put it on provisional pole? Yes, he can! It's a 139.2, less than a tenth between him and Cal in 2nd. But he is ahead, and that is all that matters for Woody Wolfie on provisional pole.
Let down a stake, crosses line, improves by 2 tenths, but he stays in 8th.
Now we've got James in the McLaren coming across the line, and he does improve, but not enough to change his status of 5th.
James Law is looking like he's ran out of fuel on his way back to the pits. But there isn't many people on track at this moment. 6 minutes left of this session, so I don't think he's going to be fouling anybody coming around there. Xerxes coming out to have another go. Can he improve? He's one of the 3 in the 139s. But he has a big gap between him and 2nd place. Prev, I think, who is currently on a flying lap, just overtook his teammate who is on his out lap. And he is 4 tenths up on his time. That will improve his position by 2 if he can carry that through this final sector. Flat out around the last few corners, as it would be in a Formula 1 car. Already up to 200 miles an hour before the DRS is open, and as you can see, that speed just increasing rapidly with the drag reduction system, and he does improve by 2 positions after increasing his lap time by 1 tenth. And now Maxi crosses the line. No, he invalidated and he's come into the pits.
Now the other Ferrari, Old Dad's Rule, just starting his 2nd flying lap. Getting a nice little toe down into turn 3 from his teammate as well. But now he will want to see his teammate getting out of the way as he's been held up.
Fouling in there.
Really unfortunate for Old Dad's. Blocked by his teammate on a flying lap. Not something the Ferrari pit wall will be wanting to see, but now we have Xerxes in the Red Bull coming through Sector 1 on his flying lap. as you said, a big gap to those two on the front row currently, but we know Xerxes has great pace, especially in qualifying.
Purple sector 1 there. And I've just had the weather report come through that it is dry throughout, so everybody will be running their dry setups, and it's good to see Dino out of the way there through the castle section. You don't want any interruption as you come round there. Thundering through Sector 2 there, the God King, and he is very close on that corner there. Very surprised I didn't see any track limit warning come up there, but he did make it through with a purple Sector 2 matching his helmet.
And through turn 15 there is a line, if you can take that curb, that can be quicker, but it's so hard to get the setup right and keep the car under control so that you can carry the speed there while hopping that curb at turn 15. But a very good looking lap here from Xerxes, currently third, stays third. It was a big improvement, but just not enough to break onto the front row.
As we said, there was a big gap between him and second place, and he did close that gap, but he wasn't able to improve his position there. But now Silver Slugger, the last one to set a flying lap, is starting now. Car 66 on some red soft tyres. Let's see how Silver Slugger can get on this Baku street circuit.
Yeah, nice and tidy through turn 3. Taking a little bit of curb on turn 4, and that curb will unsettle the car as you just saw there, but Slugger manages to keep it alive for now, but goes a little bit wide there through 6.
Suffering. I think I might go on board with somebody else because this pressure on Slugger is probably not helping. Doesn't look very comfortable here. Very unsure on his apexes and where he needs to turn in for the corners.
He does take the castle section quite well. Nice and tidy through there. So he's seemingly growing in confidence throughout this lap, and now into probably the trickiest corner, and that is why it's so easy to let that curb unsettle your car and send you into the wall. And he goes very wide in turn 16, but still keeping it alive, and that is the name of the game here. So he just wants to set a valid time. Can be very tricky, this circuit. Now we have Maxi as well as James in the McLaren on flying laps. This will be their last chance to improve their position on the grid. Just 20 seconds left in qualifying.
Woody and Cal both out there now. Cal getting a cheeky slipstream from Woody ahead, but they're both on fresh tyres, fresh softs. I've got to say, Old Dad's did improve on his time there, and he got very close to the back of Xerxes.
Oh, wow.
So, very interesting battle coming up here. And James does cross the line. I think he did improve, but he's...
Oh, and Maxi jumps him. Getting the Renault up into 5th.
Oh, and Slugger has been disqualified, parking in a dangerous place. I think he's on the run-off at the end of Sector 1, but...
Yeah, just making sure he's staying out of the way. Not the end of the world there. And now, as you say, Cal's getting a slipstream. He will be dealing with a little bit of dirty air through the middle part of the track, but it will all be worth it if he can get the toe down that final straightaway. He's still right behind him as they come towards Sector 3. They're both on the front row already, but who will be on pole? It's a purple Sector 2 for Cal. Might be a little bit far away to really gain an advantage from the slipstream of the car in front.
I think you'll be surprised. I think he will be benefiting from that slipstream. A let down the state is about to cross. Now he's into the pits.
So first it is Woody who improves, but Cal beats him. A 139.058, and it's Cal in the McLaren who puts it on pole.
Yeah, definitely smart move from Cal there, using the slipstream around Woody, around the circuit behind Woody. But as you say, he would have had to deal with a little bit of dirty air around the middle sectors. But I think, as you say, it paid dividends as he crossed the line and puts it onto pole. That rounds off our Baku Grand Prix short qualifying session, and as Matt said, Cal takes pole with a 139.0, which is very impressive from the McLaren. And then we have Woody Wolfie in second place, Xerxes in third, which was a phenomenal show. Very unfortunate for him to miss out there, but a potential podium place there, but chased closely from Old Dad's Maxi with an incredible time there, not far off these lead cars either. James in 6th place, James Laws in 7th, that's not going to confuse things at all. On Letdown Estate in 8th, Dino in 9th, Prev in 10th, Sega to Cos in 11th, Blood and Sand in 12th, CHM in 13th, and Slugger in 14th. So Cal really showing his force here. Current leader in the driver's title, led by 66 points, and that would be his 4th pole position of this season out of 7 races, which is a phenomenal show. He also has 3 fastest laps, and his lowest finish is a 3rd place currently, so every race he has had a podium, and he's certainly looking strong for a podium here. But this is Baku and anything can happen. We will have a dry session throughout, so we won't see any mishaps through weather, but we can have safety cars, we can have tyre strategies coming into play here. Can they handle the pace around Baku, because it does wear your tyres pretty quickly. It's a very abrasive surface. But Xerxes, 66 points behind Cal in the driver's title. And we do have 3 separate race winners here, because we have James in 3rd place, who's yet to win a race here at Wheel2wheel AL2 Season 16. But Woody is in 4th, and he was a latecomer to this season, so he is already charging up this table, claiming 4th place. But at Wheel2wheel we also have a combined constructors title. So in AL2, the constructors title looks in the shape of McLaren being 93 points of Red Bull, but Red Bull only 4 points ahead of Ferrari, who are in 3rd place, and then the title sort of drops off a little bit there. But it's a very different story when we look at the combined constructors, because Red Bull is 2nd in AL2 tables, Red Bull is 2nd in the AL1 table, but they are currently 1st in the combined table, only 8 points in front of their rival team Ferrari. So it's a very close battle there. But McLaren, the AL1 team, not as strong as the AL2 team. So although in AL2 the McLaren team is romping ahead with 93 points deficit, the combined constructors, they are 87 points behind the leaders Red Bull. But last season's results, I can say that the fastest lap went to Old Dad's with a 141.7. Old Dad's clearly shown that he still has it for the streets of Baku, so he will be one to watch today. But James was the winner last season, followed by Sega to Cos. Sega was a minute behind, so Sega looking to glean something from James. And let's see how the race will pan out here today. And lastly, I'll just mention about the AL1 table, because as I say, we've got a combined constructors, but the driver's title in AL1 is very much a spicy one, because we have Alan up at the top of the driver's title, followed by Paulie Orange, who is only 1 point behind. And then behind Paulie Orange we have Droftas, who is only 3 points behind, and it doesn't drop far after that either, because Lee Finley is 16 points behind. Knowlesy, 22 points behind first place. All these points are, by the way. Pillars, who's unfortunately not been able to turn up for 3 races, but he's still only 28 points behind Alan, so we will be watching that closely.
And we welcome in our colleague and good friend, All Shot Down, to join us in the commentary booth.
Good evening, guys. Sorry that I missed the qualifying, but I'm hoping it was a good one.
Yeah, it was an exciting qualifying session for a while. There was just a couple of tenths covering the top 4, and then Cal put in a great lap to snatch pole by a couple of tenths.
From what I can see here as well, it doesn't look like there's any clouds in the sky as well, so these guys expecting a nice dry race today.
Yeah, it's a dry throughout the race, so no weather strategies coming in to interrupt the action.
Yeah, it should be an exciting race, and we did have an exciting finish on Wednesday, a sprint race to the line down the back straight on the final lap, and there's less than a tenth in it between, I believe it was Pezzarino and yourself, All Shot. It was a great finish to watch.
Yes, it probably looked a lot nicer than it was to be in the position. When you're driving down that back straight, it feels like an eternity. So to get to the line, and all I could see in my rear views was silver and black, and then it pulled out alongside me. I was just hoping I had everything I had left just to keep the position, to be fair.
Yeah, and
I think Pezza said he was 4.2 seconds behind you on the start of that final lap, so the difference in tyres was quite scary there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Around here, as soon as the rears drop off, personally I find, I know a couple other guys did as well, that when they do go, you just have no traction and your pace does drop, and I think my tyres are on the brink of popping. I think around about the 70% cut come that last lap, so yeah, I was really trying to take it easy, but it shows how much time I lost.
And the tire situation really is an interesting one, because there's a big gap in pace between the soft and mediums, 1.1 seconds. But those softs only last a maximum of 17 laps, but we'll probably only see our drivers take them somewhere around 11 to maybe 14 laps tops. As you say, once the tires start going, your pace drops off so much around this circuit, so you really probably want to go for the mediums on any sort of longer stints for this race. You don't want to stretch the softs out too much. The mediums seem to be the best race tire as of Wednesday. We'll see how they go today. Couple of predicted strategies. Could use soft, medium, soft, or the soft, medium, medium, depending on how well our drivers will manage their tires. But everything's shaping up for another exciting one today.
Yeah, I think if anyone's going to be dropping onto the softs for their second stint, they're just going to have to make sure that they don't come out in traffic, because it's just like Monaco, it's very hard to pass for like 90% of this track, so if they want to be making the most of that fresh rubber, they want to be burning it in clear air.
Yeah, we have the last 3 runners on the medium tyres, but all the other cars are set to start on the softs. Few comments on the stream. Got old man Barry saying hello. Kirk saying disqualification, typical. Archie go. His teammate I feel sorry for. Kirk, I feel bad for the entire United States for being represented by that team. Are you talking real life or in the game? Because I think in the game that's a bit harsh on Silver.
Maybe both, to be honest.
Maybe both. They did a very poor show at Bahrain, and Haas have been struggling recently, but at Wheel2wheel we shall see how the Haas team go round Baku here.
Yeah, but much like Monaco, that it's a very challenging street circuit, and things can change so quickly. Somebody could be having a great race, and then one mistake sees their day over. So anything can happen around here.
Yeah, and a poorly timed safety car could easily change somebody's strategy to a losing strategy rather than a winning one.
Yeah. Oh yes, definitely one that's very unforgiving, especially the middle section with the castle. push too hard, then you lose the front end. It's you can end up having to do those extra couple of pit stops that you may not have planned for as well, making your evening just that little bit longer.
Yes, 51 laps here, so it's long enough at 1 minute 40 average lap. But the drivers are just rounding off this formation lap now, coming round to take their grid positions.
I think one to keep an eye on here will be Blood and Sand as well, the highest of the medium runners. I know he's near the back, but so far he just seems to be down there, but ends up at, around the top 5 pretty much every race so far that I've seen. So if he's starting on the mediums going long, track position is going to be important here, like I say.
Yeah, all shaping up to be a great race as our drivers come back into their grid positions. As our championship leader on pole position, Cal in the McLaren. But he's got last week's race winner, Woody Wolfie, in the Racing Point next to him. And the lights are coming on. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing in Baku, boys. It's a long starting sequence, but Cal getting away well, leading the charge down into turn 1, but Woody's got him on the inside.
Red Bull running very deep there, getting overtaken
Oh,
from the
and there's
McLaren, and the Red
contact.
Bull's in the wall, and the Maxi is already out of this race under that contact. Lots of penalties coming up on the bottom of the screen. Absolute pandemonium here before even turn 2.
And it's Xerxes.
He lost it wide as he came back onto the track. There was space, but I don't think the McLaren of James was expecting him to be there, so I think there's a bit of movement, but I'll have to go to the stewards in regards to that. But when he bounced off the wall and came back, I think that's when he collected the Renault of Maxi as well, so really he was just a passenger at that stage.
And no front wing at all still on that Red Bull. It'd be very difficult for Xerxes to navigate his way all the way around the circuit back to the pits.
He lost with the contact, but I think when he was trying to do his 3-point turn, I think he may have misjudged it, because I believe I caught that. He may have lost it as he was turning the car back around.
And we've got 4 drivers with 5-second penalties after that incident, probably for severe collisions. So there was plenty of contact to go around. We are back under green flag conditions though. VSC is over.
Yeah, that was a very short VSC. Woody doing a phenomenal job straight out. Nearly 2 seconds in front of Cal now, but biggest winner from that beginning instant was Sega DeCoz, who's jumped 6 places, and I don't need to tell you who the biggest loser was, and that's really unfortunate to see the Red Bull involved in another incident again.
Well, let's say even worse than the Red Bull is the Renault being out of the race, and it's Silva Slugger retiring on lap 1 as well.
Yeah, he looks like he may have just hit the inside curb and lost it, and unfortunately the only thing that's going to greet you there is a solid bit of concrete.
Yeah, no room for mistakes, and it's I think they're
questionably not a safety car yet.
Couple of cars coming in. His old dads and James in the McLaren, as well as Cal.
And his teammates just coming in as well, Prev. So he's going to be held, unfortunately. So it looks like a lot of them have lost little bits of carbon fibre, which, as much as it doesn't look like much missing off the car, it does make a lot of difference on the overall time and grip.
Yeah, that would have hurt Cal. That would have hurt James a lot, having to wait for his teammate Cal, and also Xerxes. The pit crew would have been waiting for a letdown estate to get out of the box. So crazy beginnings to this race, to this Grand Prix. But still a long way to go, 51 laps in total. Drivers need to complete here.
And now a few cars pitting, maybe with wing damage and getting off those soft tires. Woody Wolfie has got a huge lead now. And it's Sega DeCoz who, once our timing screens get themselves sorted, will be in 2nd place.
Just trying to work that out myself here, because the man that I mentioned earlier on the mediums, Blood and Sand, if that is correct, I don't think it even has corrected itself yet, but he's right up near the front now on those mediums.
Yeah,
I
and
think
now
he is net 4th once the screen sorts itself out.
may have just done that now. So yeah, P4 for the Haas driver. He started on the back row of the grid.
Already seeing some big gaps now between these drivers. As you say, Woody Wolfie, phenomenal start. Sega to Kos. I'd have to re-watch that to see how he's climbed all those positions, but...
On the flip side of that, I was watching the mid-pack to see what was going on at turn 1, and I've completely missed that Cal has dropped to 7th.
Yeah, this is one of 6 cars that have already come into pit. Half the field that's still running has already pit in the first 2 laps.
But it should make for an interesting race, because Cal, pole sitter here, and current driver champion for AL2, or leader, should I say, will have his work cut out for him here. So should see some interesting overtakes now in this race after reshuffling the order after that first lap of pit stops.
And it's not like they have to. Well, it's not if they don't have to worry about, for example, the guys on the front, up front, sorry, with the softs, but with Blood and Sand and even CHM as well, who started on the mediums. They're only 2 laps difference, but they're not going to be pitting anytime soon. They are going to have to make their way around these guys.
Yeah, 1.1 second deficit, as Matt said, for these tyres, but there will come a point soon where it will be better to be on their medium tyres. So Blood and Sand capitalising on this race start, as you called.
And he's within DRS as well already, off the racing point there of James. And it looks like he's just going to make light work of this into turn 1. Pulls out to the left, he's up the inside, and is he going to be late enough on the brakes? Just gets past the racing point driver, up in a P3.
James was fighting that all the way, but very good wheel-to-wheel racing there from both drivers. But now James will have DRS on the Haas car of Blood and Sand. Carroll setting the fastest lap, so already trying to redeem them positions.
Blood was straight on the ERS deployment there to make sure he had a bit of a gap for that second DRS zone. So if he can keep his head down now and just try and eke that gap over to a second, he can start looking forward on the guys, like I say, as soon as those softs start coming off. Blood's going to want to be there to try and catch him.
Yeah, crazy start to this race. The pack completely jumbled up behind the man who took the lead into turn 1, Woody Wolfie, but everyone else seems to have just gone all over the place in terms of the order of the pack.
James really wanting to come back though.
I think both the guys that started on their medium tyres off the grid here are definitely going to have to be kept an eye on, because even CHM, we know how quick he can get that car in a straight line. So down here as well, he's definitely going to be deadly. And he's just slowly creeping up to the back of Bino.
James Law is able to stay within 1 second, so he will get DRS down the start-finish straight.
Not going to be much of a defensive from Blood and the Haas. He's used all of his battery just to try and eke that gap out, so he's not going to have much left coming down past turn 2 into the second DRS zone. So it's going to be interesting to see how close James is willing to put that car.
Yeah, it does end with a good exit, which has really helped him in this defence against James Laws. It doesn't look like he's got enough track to make a move into turn 3.
And while all that's been going on there, Cal has slowly caught up to the back of CHM now. So I say slowly, he's already caught to the back of CHM. He's on the softs, but it's going to be interesting to see how quickly he can navigate these other cars that he's normally in front of. Around here, he's just going to have to be patient, surely, through the middle sector here, just to try and get the passes done down the straight to try and not lose too much time.
Oh, and Cal might have a go here as they come towards the castle section. He's got the inside line. Can he make it stick ahead of CHM? What a move from Cal.
A lot of confidence there, knowing the guy you're racing is actually going to make that corner, especially if you're on the outside as well. You need to know that he's going to be able to stop in time. So if he carries on, that's both of you in the wall, but brilliant move by Cal. Up into P6 on his recovery.
Yeah, he definitely put enough of his car alongside CHM to not allow CHM to come over to block that move, but Cal already now on the back of Dino.
And he is on a mission now. Maybe unfortunate after lap 1, but got into the pits, got himself a new wing, got himself some fresh soft tires, and he's looking to make up another place here. Even before he gets DRS, he's ahead of the AlphaTauri. And now he can
AlphaTauri is carrying some wing damage there. He's missing his right end plate.
I think after that move's all been done and dusted, you might want to turn the attention to the back here. The God King himself, Xerxes, is right on the back of Previs. They're coming onto the back straight now. So another couple of drivers just trying to recover from the opening pandemonium that happened. But yeah, so he's going to have that DRS wide open as soon as he can. He knows he's going to want to clear Prev and try to crack on with his evening, and he does so straight away. It should be a fairly simple pass for the Red Bull as he's pulling out to the left, up the inside, going into turn 1, and he's made the move before the braking zone, and he moves up at a slight lock up there and he runs a little bit wide, but I think that should be safe. Be interesting to see if Prev can have an attempt back at him now through the second DRS zone, as it'll have now changed hands and Prev is holding the ace.
And now Old Dad's right on the back of CHM, trying to keep up with Cal. After Cal made his way up to 5th, Old Dad's trying to follow him through. And he's gonna put his car on the inside of the Mercedes. What a move from Old Dad's through turn 13.
I've not seen many overtakes there, but that was knowing that you've got the pace to get up there and get the move done before the corner.
Also the grip that your car's just not going to send you off, that was mental. But very impressive to watch.
Yeah, great stuff from the Ferrari driver up into 7th.
Got his next target in sight in the shape of the AlphaTauri of Dino. He's within DRS range, so he'll have his DRS button available to him for this first DRS activation zone after turn 2. Dino struggling, he was braking early there because of his missing end plate on his front wing. But Old Dad's straight line speed, there's no comparison there for that AlphaTauri, or he just didn't want to fight it and he let it have the position. Old Dad's now only 2 places down from where he started, but still Sega and Blood and Sand 9 positions gained in this Grand Prix already, and we're only on lap 7, so they are the ones to watch. But Sega unfortunately got a 5-second penalty at the start, so interesting to see how that will affect the race and see if that is a legitimate 5 seconds or whether that will be overturned come the end of the race. And actually, come to think of it, that's probably what happened at the start, because there was a lot of 5-second penalties, but there's only 2 now, so all them early pit stops would have been hindered even more by the fact that they would have been held for 5 seconds to serve their pit stop.
And it looks like James here for the McLaren, he's just creeping up on the back here of a letdown estate in the Red Bull as they're coming down to the final part, or to start, the final sector or the back straight, so he's going to have to give it all he's got to make sure he gets in that DRS zone, which by the looks of it he's done enough. The McLarens are looking very strong around here this evening. Like I say, I know I missed quali, but so far in the race I'm very impressed, showing some good pace.
He's just about within DRS range, but not a lot of overtake to work with, so looks like Letdown Estate will still have a comfortable gap as they come into turn 1. But what can James do through turns 1 and 2 to try and get right on the back of that Red Bull? So we'll get DRS once again here, and both cars looking a little loose on the exit of turn 2, but here comes James in the McLaren. He's closing the gap, but a don't think he's going to have enough of a straight to get alongside of a letdown estate. And the Red Bull stays 9th.
I think besides that battle there, everyone's decided to just calm it down. They've all gotten, I think they're all where they're meant to be, obviously minus the chaos that happened at the beginning with the pit stops, but everyone's slowly starting to just have their own little space now. The gap at the front up to 10 seconds now for Woody. That's an amazing start, and as I say that, he's into the pits. Now, we did have a couple of drivers doing an early stop on the Wednesday, for AL1, and this is a relatively early stop for the softs.
It is. I think you did an early stop as well, Diggle, on the softs, but that paid off, I think, for you in the end. So
Yes,
Woody,
yeah,
clearly, as you said, he had a 10-second gap to Sega and Blood and Sand.
I was going to say, I thought maybe it was due to his tyres, but he built that gap though. Okay, importantly though, Cal has actually got back in front of him. I know there's a big difference in the tyres, of course. 6-lap-old softs, the mediums might actually be more preferable at this stage, but definitely an interesting call because it didn't look like he was losing too much time at the front of those softs. So to chuck it in the pits this early on for him, he clearly knows something that we don't.
Let down estate, defended on the inside line from James. James with the DRS assistance, still not able to make his way past the Red Bull. Very loose on the exit of turn 2 there, which would cost him. I don't think that will allow him now to make the move onto a letdown estate coming down into turn 3. And he's still behind him, and it's difficult to make any pass down in this centre section. So James behind a letdown estate for another lap, by the looks on it.
We've got the likes of Cal and Woody now just catching up to the other James in the racing point, and we're going to see a bit of teamwork here maybe. Just hoping if James maybe can hold up Cal a bit, help Woody get in a little bit closer. Because you're surely not going to want to see your teammate give your rival on track the DRS down this back straight.
I'm going to have to leave this James and let down estate battle to join on for the three-way battle here. The racing point sandwich. James trying to break the toe of Cal very aggressively. James into the pits.
Perfect timing for Cal, not so perfect for Woody though. But again, he's going to have another bite at the cherry, I think, next time around.
No, I think it was perfect because now Cal won't have DRS assistance to try and run away from Woody.
That was a good point. I did forget about the DRS zone all of a sudden at turn 2, but talking about that though, a letdown estate, I'm just double checking, it's side by side with James and the McLaren going down here. The cameras are doing all sorts, but the McLaren has finally got in front of the Red Bull driver going through into turn 1.
Yeah, the Red Bull doing a fantastic job to hold up that McLaren there for as long as he can.
Oh, definitely, and it's going to be great because he's had a really good drive coming out of 2. Is he going to be able to put it back in front of the McLaren before 3? Not as longer of a straight. I don't think he's going to be close enough. I think the McLaren can be happy with that.
Yeah, but the Red Bull on the comeback because the letdown estate now has his teammate joining him behind. So Xerxes trying to reclaim some of those positions lost from that loss of a wing at the start.
And further ahead, Woody Wolfie on the slower tire, but he's been able to stay within a second of Cal. And he'll get DRS now, as long as he avoids mistakes through the last couple of corners here.
Woody didn't have a lot of overtake to work with.
And in contrast, Cal has 80% of his battery, 0% for Woody. Sets the fastest lap of the race. He's gonna try it around the outside. Cal does a good job covering off the racing point through turn 1. Another DRS zone after turn 2. Still not much overtake to work with for Woody Wolfie. And Cal seems to have gotten a great drive out of turn 2, and he will keep second for the time being.
Just worth mentioning, Serget's car's pitting, unfortunately having to serve that 5-second penalties, which everybody has now, so everybody who picked up the penalty at the start has had to serve it in the pits. So now no more penalties to consider, it will be all on track positions. But that does mean I've just spotted Blood and Sand is actually our race leader, and probably has been for a couple of laps, to be fair.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see with Cal's strategy of all those early pit stoppers. I think he was the only one to go onto another set of soft tires, so it'll be interesting to see which way he goes for his next pit stop and when will that pit stop come. As we say, those soft tires, once they start degrading, they just lose so much pace so quickly. So that will be happening here in the next few laps, some decisions to make for the McLaren.
Yeah, I must now flick to Woody. We're watching the Red Bull boys to see if there was going to be any multi-21, but Woody short on the overtake again, but DRS assistance, he's got some straight line speed in that racing point. Not able to make the move on this occasion, but a great X out of turn 1, which puts him right on the gearbox of the McLaren.
Oh, and he's using everything he's got now. As they come down towards turn 3, Cal goes defensive on the inside. He's going to make Woody go the long way around. And he just keeps it out of the wall, and he is just ahead of the McLaren as they come into 4. Cal not giving it up. They're still wheel to wheel, and Cal takes back second. Great driving from these two.
Didn't manage to capture that. I know it's not up at the front here, but we had CHM and James and McLaren going at each other down into turn 1, and then just behind, Xerxes and a letdown of State have now swapped positions, probably the best part of the track as well. Didn't cost each other time, didn't do much of a fight, but it did look nice to see both those cars running side by side.
Yeah, CHM great on the defence. He really knows where to put his car, and he does not budge if you stick half a nose up. So James really having his work cut out now to try and make his way past the Mercedes driver.
And Woody maybe dealing with a little bit of dirty air there through 15, got a little bit out of sorts and had to make sure to keep it out of the wall, but that cost him a good bit of time, and he's having to use all of that overtake just to make sure he gets DRS again down the start-finish straight.
It's interesting
James
to look at.
trying to move, and he does get in front, and they're wheel banging as they're coming down the hill towards the final sector.
That was a bold move, especially before the DRS zone for the back straight, so he must be confident he's going to try and break that 1 second now for CHM, because right on the back of them is Xerxes as well in the Red Bull. He's going to look to make quick work of the Mercedes and get straight onto the back of that McLaren, as he's already making the move before the DRS zone even happens there. Side by side, they're going to drag it out with DRS open, and Mercedes showing tremendous straight line speed.
Neither of them have the DRS.
Oh,
it was a bit strange. Okay. They were side by side at the activation point, so the game didn't give it to either of them. But CHM reclaiming that position.
Beg your pardon, so I was getting too many caught up there thinking that James and the McLaren was going to have to get a move on because he was going to have 2 cars right behind him with their rear wings open.
Yeah, James.
Xerxes backed off quite a bit there. I don't know what that was about.
Yeah, James has pulled over a second and a half to CHM, so he's clear of the DRS. Now Xerxes will be trying to get past CHM as quick as he can.
Up at the front, Cal is actually just getting to within 1 second of Blood and Sand now at the front, with Woody still sticking to the back of that car. So again, we're going to have another drag down here. It's just going to say, interesting to note the different usage in the batteries here. Some people giving everything they've got lap after lap, and others being very conservative.
Yeah, 10 laps on those softs for Calvo, so how much further in the race is he going to want to take those? Because he can take the race lead here, but is he going to be holding that lead for long on these tyres?
He's going to want to put a car between him and Woody, I believe. That'll be his intention here, just to see if he can break any sort of, or make any sort of gap. But I don't think the Racing Point's going to take too much convincing to send a move on the Haas down into 3.
But the Haas will have DRS to defend.
I don't think Woody's going to look into that. He's made the move done before the braking zone. He doesn't want to let that McLaren go at all this evening.
I almost feel like the Haas gave him that, which might have been a smart move because it would have just put pressure on him. Now the Haas can just concentrate on his own race because he's yet to pit.
I'm going to say you'd be silly to fight that in that position, to be fair. You're doing your own race, you're not racing those guys at the moment. So, yeah, he would have just hurt himself in that respect.
Yeah. And during that we missed, I think Xerxes made his way past CHM, coming down into turn 1. But Woody still on the case with Cal. Woody definitely on the prime tyre now in comparison to Cal. 11 laps on those softs. They will not be feeling very grippy.
Going to be intrigued to know what Cal's going to pit in for, to be fair. If it's going to be another set of softs and go very aggressive as he's got the pace, or is it just not on a set of mediums?
He's not going to have a lot to defend now. I think Cal's strategy at the start looked like he wanted to go soft, medium, soft.
He's staying out as well on those 11 lap old softs. Now 12. No battery left in that Racing Point, but he's still going to try and send it around the outside, and he's been forced wide. Ooh. Very close. I think a cheeky kiss to the outside Armco barrier there, but he didn't see any wing fall off that Racing Point.
Yeah, he does have an end plate missing there.
Oh, he does have an end plate missing. Tactical defence there by the McLaren, possibly? No, but that was good, fair racing, and Cal is placing his car where he needs to.
Well, the McLaren having the inside line, it would just be a question of who had as much of their car in front of the other as to whose corner it was. But yeah, shame to see Woody catching that wing damage, because 5 laps on his mediums, he doesn't want to be pitting, but he's already dropping down now from the McLaren, so that damage is hurting him, and that's not how you want to win a race.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say it's lost just yet, though, to be honest, because you look at the gaps behind. Old Dad's is on 12 laps. You've got a couple of those guys that pit very early on the mediums, so similar stint in that sense. But the likes of Cal, who must be pitting sometime soon, if that's the guy he's racing, he could just follow him, and he could just go onto the same tyre choice and just race with him on track. If he is getting that affected by this front wing.
Well, I was saying about it hurting him, but he is still within DRS. But yeah, it's not going to be building their relationship, wing damage, but Woody is hounding him.
I think we might see a slightly more aggressive attack now into turn 1 if Cal stays out.
Oh,
we've lost James.
And very smartly, Woody Wolfie dives into the pits as the VSC comes out. Great awareness from the Racing Point driver.
Yeah, that will be
a full
critical,
safety car.
I think.
I'd have thought it would have been a bit like the crash gate what we saw back in Singapore with Renault. But yeah, very convenient timing, and to be fair, mediums at this stage, he's going to have to make another stop, but it's going to put him in a better position now. Now he's basically at a free pit stop.
As we see James Lawes' car on the wall just before turn 15. It'll be interesting to hear about what happened there. So the VSC is now over, the car is clear of the track, and we can go racing once again. Woody Wolfie coming out of the pits within a second of Sega Takals in front.
Yeah, he's only about 23 seconds down from Cal, but he has now got fresh tyres, and Cal will have to pit soon. So, just as Diggle said, this race is not over yet.
And more importantly, if he does pit before the driver in second place, Blood and Sand will just take the lead again. Still going on his mediums.
Well, if I were Blood and Sand, I think I'd be looking to do at least another 5 more laps on their medium tyres, but Woody is currently being held up from Sega Takals. Woody's got so much more pace than the Williams driver, So he's going to want to get past as soon as he can.
Oh,
He's going to have some bit of patience here. He's not going to want to try something too reckless. He's got to wait for that DRS zone. It's going to be the easiest way he's going to be able to pass that Williams. He doesn't want to risk any more end plates flying off if he wants to get back at Cal.
And what's Cal doing? Cal looks like he's pitting. So this will be critical. Can Woody take the race lead? Well, can he take the position from Cal? He can certainly take the position from Sega to Cos now with the assistance of DRS.
Cal's just coming to the exit now, so it's going to be close. But I think Cal has just done it. He's leaving the pits now. He's getting his car back up to speed, and he has done it. He's stayed in front.
It's almost...
Sorry.
Well, it's almost hit reset on their battle, but now they're both on fresh tyres where there was a bit of a difference in tyre before when they were battling.
Got a couple of the old guard here having a scrap down into turn 1, a let down estate in CHM, a let down estate using all of his battery to try and make a move on the Mercedes, but he's had a really good drive out of turn 1, and he's just going to take him before 2. I think CHM may have had a bit of a moment there, but he is on 16 lap old mediums as well, so he's going to start to feel that. And someone else who's slowly crept up through the field, up to P6 now, Xerxes, is bringing himself back in. Only one other driver that had to stop early on around him, and that's the one guy in front. It's only 1.5 seconds up the road.
Yeah, that first lap really did split the field. So we do have two different races going on right now, but Xerxes looking to rejoin the race ahead of him.
The saga of Woody versus Cal continues as he's within a second of the McLaren down the back straight again. So he's really not wanting to sit behind the back of that car any longer than he needs to. He's going to go side by side. DRS isn't even open yet and he pulls alongside the driver. And he's got the DRS open but no battery. So he has, well, I lost him there, I was on board with him racing point. So he sets the quickest lap of the race and takes the McLaren. He's going to be relieved now, but he's going to want to make sure he can defend now into 3.
And Cal having a full bank of overtake, but not using it as they come into turn 3. Woody Wolfie is able to maintain second place. And Cal maybe could have used some of that overtake to have a go at getting the place back, but he opts just to sit behind Woody Wolfie and maybe save some fuel, continue to save some battery.
There, but Xerxes is now making a move. Oh, looked like he was going for the move there on James in the McLaren. That gap went from 1.5 seconds down to 0.3. Sorry to interrupt you there, Matty.
Got a good few battles going on. I did see Old Dads took the position from his teammate Brev, and we have a yellow flag, and it looks like a letdown estate has ran deep. Doesn't look to have any damage, but he might have just missed his braking point and used the exit road there, but that will help the Ferrari guys behind him, who will both now be chasing him down. But his teammate Xerxes still very much on the back of the McLaren of James.
Yeah, he's been staring at the back end of that, getting very close in the castle section, nearly pushing him through, but he's just going to be biding his time at this stage, surely, just because he knows he's going to get that lovely DRS straight now, down into 1, where isn't exactly the hardest opportunity to pass someone.
And as you early predicted, Diggle, Blood and Sand leading this race, probably the only driver to be incident-free entirely, but Xerxes now going to get the DRS. He's got his ERS on as well.
Running dangerously low, and he's nearly completely out of usage there. Is he going to be later on the brakes around the outside into 1? And he is. Just keeps the McLaren in front as... Oh. Good judgment call by both drivers. Very brave on the brakes there for the Red Bull. It's going to have to be next time around, or maybe into 3 if he's got enough here.
Oh, there's a bit of weaving there. That was not a very clever move, and it looked like James is... I don't know what James was doing there, but that is not on, really.
That was
very
dangerous.
Clumsy driving from the McLaren there.
Yeah, that was dangerous from early on before. And that is so unfortunate to see. Xerxes with further wing damage again. He's going to feel very bullied by the end of this Grand Prix.
I hate to say it, if he has to look at the positives, I know he does listen to the stream, but he's got just under a pit stop over his teammate and the drivers behind, so if he does need to stop now, he's not going to lose overall that much time in regards to position on track rather than actual time.
He's going to have to pit because the damage on that wing is quite extensive. But we have his teammate being overtaken by old Dad. That was an incredible move before the castle section.
Interesting to note as well, the McLaren of James, he did also lose an end plate. So.
Yeah, I think that was his weaving. He was weaving to try and distract or break the toe from Xerxes or something, which you're not allowed to do because you're only allowed to move in one direction. But I think he lost control of the car and ended up touching the wall himself.
It looked very Hamilton-Vettel-esque behind the safety car from the angle I caught that, the way they hit each other, but that'll have to definitely... I can't imagine that wouldn't be going to the stewards in that. But yeah, Xerxes straight in here for another stop, so... Could you say he started on the softs or the mediums? I'm trying to think now, because he could do another set of mediums to the end, possibly hards.
Xerxes?
Yeah.
Xerxes did start on the softs, but he is going for a set of soft tyres now.
Very aggressive finish, but he's shown he's got the pace, so this is going to be a very good stint for him.
Well, lap 20 he could go soft medium. I think soft would be a tall order, but he's going to be driving angry now because I think I would be after an incident in lap 1 and then after an incident like that with the McLaren driver.
Well, to be fair, just saying there, Cal was just reeled straight back in just to kind of change the pace here. He's right on the back of Woody as they come onto the start-finish straight. Both drivers 5 seconds off the back of Blood and Sand now, who's now done 19 laps on his set of mediums just up at the front. I wish Codemasters would fix the camera angle because I believe he's getting closer. There we go, I'm on board now, and he's just pulled out to the left. He's passing the Racing Point driver with ease into one. So see what Woody's going to have in his tank just to try and chuck it back at him. Maybe 2 into 3. Seems to be a very popular chance for the Racing Point to make a couple of these moves.
Cal
Looks like no
better
Cal's
exit.
Brilliant exit for Cal that side to make sure it doesn't happen. And the straight might not be long enough for the Racing Point as he does brake later, but yeah, it's not close enough to have a sniff.
The next battle coming on track now. We've got Prev, who's just outside of the DRS window on the Red Bull of a let-down estate. And he can't gain on the car at all down that start-finish straight. He may just creep inside the DRS window after turn 2, but no, a poor exit out of turn 1 has cost him.
No, the Ferrari's being very conservative with his battery deployment as well, sitting very high up there in comparison to other drivers, and 60% still. Just jumping back to the start-finish straight here, we've got Cal and Woody again here. Another episode of this little saga that is going on around here in the streets of Baku tonight. And this time Woody's gone to the right, and again he's made the move. Cal is, I think he may just have his nose alongside into one, and he does. Cal's later on the brakes. Again, Woody's trying to go around the outside this time. No one's gone into the wall. They're going to run it side by side now into 2. And Cal's just a little bit later on the brakes and just gets that track position.
Yeah, fantastic driving from these two. Woody, not fazed by the earlier incident and still trying to go round the outside of turn 1.
And while all this is going on, actually, someone I need to just touch on here in that respect, Dino, who made his stop earlier, but he went onto the hards, which is definitely an interesting strategy call. However, those hards are going to do a great deal of this race, and he's not really going to struggle with any grip. It will just be the overall pace of the tyre.
Xerxes is catching back up with the group which he was ahead of earlier before his incident, but Prev, DRS open on Xerxes' teammate as Xerxes set the fastest lap with a 1:42.5.
Stomping his authority here this evening to show that he is here to fight. Even though he's been reset twice, he is not giving up.
No, he certainly does have some pace here, but he does deserve a higher position than he does currently hold, but I do think he will reclaim a few places before the end of this Grand Prix, as he's now in the DRS window of the Ferrari, and who is currently in a Red Bull sandwich.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's got the luxury of both these drivers being on 19 old mediums, and he's on a fresh set of softs. He's going to be loving this, and the fact
well, he will, but it's going to cost him, because until he can get past them, he has to drive at 19 lap old pace.
Well, yes, of course. There's always these technicalities, isn't there? God.
Oh, and Woody is side by side with Cal again, but this time he's looking on the inside of turn 2. Oh, and he does just make contact with the wall there. I don't think there was any damage, but he's really pushing the limits to try and bring the fight to Cal.
So this guy didn't switch off from the fight we were watching, this little Red Bull sandwich with this Ferrari filling, as all three of these drivers now are going to be coming onto the start-finish straight. All, most likely, I'd be very surprised if they don't, will have the DRS, so a letdown estate's going to be in a very vulnerable position going into one.
He will, and this is where Xerxes will want to make 2 into 1. He'll want to take both of these drivers, but Prev will have DRS on a letdown estate, which will make it more difficult for Xerxes to make the move on either of them. But a letdown estate pulls to the inside to defend. We have a yellow flag.
Sorry, the whole track map's gone yellow for me there.
Yeah, virtual safety car. And I don't know what happened, but it was the castle section, and Woody has got the wing. I'm not sure what happened there, if he was next to Cal, but I think there was, from what I did catch, I think the three of them was there together. So I'd have to watch somebody else's replay to catch what happened there.
Fortunately, mine's going to be no good. I'm sat here watching this little Red Bull fight with the Ferraris.
Yeah, it was unfortunate because Xerxes was looking to make the moves there, but the yellow flag, double yellows, is now going to have cost him.
Yeah, the pace difference there, the delta, nearly catching a letdown estate out there as he nearly went straight into the back of the Ferrari in front. But questionably, just as that did hit, it looked like a letdown estate was coming back onto the racing line to defend into one, which you would have thought as teammates they would have just passed it back.
James and the McLaren getting a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car. That will be a big hit in his race.
20 laps on his mediums, meaning he's going to have to go for the drive-through and then pit after. He can't change his tyres during the drive-through.
No, like I say, that's probably what Xerxes is going to want to be hearing. As let down estate getting very wide out of the last corner, hasn't put up much of a fight as Xerxes has now passed his teammate, who should have DRS out on the Ferrari in front. It doesn't look like it's going to be a very hard pass at all to make, as James and the McLaren's in for the drive-through.
Yep.
So he's already coming in to serve that now, as Xerxes and Prev and a letdown estate are all coming down into one. Is he going to clear them all? James has, he's served his drive-through coming up just in front of this little battle here now.
And Cal, in that little moment, also made his way past Blood and Sand.
Don't think James actually served his drive-through. Beg your pardon, he's on 0 lap old mediums now. So that was an actual pit stop.
Ha! So Xerxes coming up the back of James after the earlier incident, but James having to pit to serve his drive-through.
Surely he's going to have to go back through the pits again then if he's still got a drive-through.
And Blood and Sand has also got a drive-through. That is unfortunate because Blood and Sand has had the best race out of anybody here so far.
Yeah, it certainly would be driver of the day through the halfway point or thereabout.
And it looks like for Blood there is a 25 was the lap that the pit window opened, so he's done his drive-through, and it looks like he could be coming in at the end of this lap again to put on a fresh set of rubber, which I can guarantee he'll be looking forward to. Talking about fresh tyres though, Woody's gone onto a set of hards to take him to the end. Just cutting back quickly now to the Red Bull of Xerxes, who is now within that DRS zone of the McLaren. These two, it'd be interesting to see how it does go down again now. Third time around this is, I believe, these two on track. Well, one McLaren's been battling with a racing point, the other one has been fending off this Red Bull with some serious pace on those fresh softs.
Oh.
And he's serving his drive-through, because I forgot within a space of about a minute and a half.
And there's more wing damage on the racing point. There was a yellow flag in Sector 1. I think a mistake into Turn 3.
Not the race for Woody. Prev also trying to bring the fight to a letdown estate.
I think this could be a good moment here for Xerxes, though. If you look at the cars ahead and the tyres they're on, and any damage in that side of it, he's got a nice bit of open track now that he can really make the most of these softs. Put in a couple quali laps, see where he comes out for the final stint.
Yeah, he'll be able to close that gap to old dad's rules quite quickly with the 1.1 second faster tyre.
Missed the move from a letdown estate back on Prev. The Red Bull driver's back in front of the Ferrari after the Ferrari had got through, so clearly Prev has had a moment, unless one of you guys have mentioned it or caught it and I'm not paying attention. Apologies.
I did catch a little bit of a letdown estate in Prev. Prev was catching a letdown estate, but it didn't seem to want to go for the move. He probably could have pushed to put pressure onto turn 3, but he did back out of it. They're both on 22 lap old medium, so they're on a similar strategy.
Woody is back in again for another stop and just leaving the pits of Blood and Sand now on a fresh set of softs, and he leaves the pits in third.
Yeah,
so
it's
from
still a
starting down
fantastic
at the back,
race.
he's got the track position, he's got the best tyres compared to the people around him in the top 5. I don't want to say too much, commentator's curse, but he's having a very strong drive this evening. Now two drivers we've been seeing in separate battles are now together on track, Xerxes and Woody. Sorry.
It's alright, it's both of these drivers having incidents that they probably wish they weren't involved in, but they're both of their races, as you say, they've brought them together on track now. Xerxes on the soft tyre, Woody on the mediums. Woody at a push could take them mediums. Oh no, they're 7 lap old mediums.
He's gone to a used set of mediums, so clearly there's not
Yeah.
many sets of tyres left in that Racing Point garage.
I think with the difference in tyre, I think Xerxes will have the upper hand in this battle.
To be fair, two quick drivers as well, so even if one of them is quicker and they get in front and stay in front, I think if they work together after both, like you say, both had incidents that have been very unfortunate. Two separate teams, but not squabbling too much. They could have the overall pace to close back in up at the front.
I'll be interested to see how the race standings stack up after any appeals from the start, but Xerxes has ran out of overtake.
Like when you forget to leave the stove on sometimes, I think.
That did cost him quite a bit. It looked like he was well within the DRS window, but he's dropped out now.
Letdown Estate's finally in off those set of mediums that you had to make the early stop onto. And he's going on to another stint. Very slow stop, unless it's just my stream on my end here.
No, that was a slow stop. Don't know what he was doing, but he didn't put his clutch in.
He's probably reaching for his coffee or something. But yeah, no.
I'm glad you said coffee.
Yeah, it's not 10 o'clock yet. But he could take those mediums to the end now.
Yeah, 24 laps on them mediums, and I believe there's 24 laps left of this race, so he could mathematically take them the same distance he did just take that last set around the black things. Complete with yellow stripe.
We do English good, don't we?
Yes.
Blood and Sand now starting to hack away at the gap in front to Sega. It was around about 15 or 16 seconds when he made the stop. It's down to 12, those fresh softs. We can keep eking away here. If we could see Sega probably doing another 10 laps on those. Both drivers on a set of softs to the end. Could be a nice little battle for second.
Yeah, Sega and Blood and Sand both benefiting very well from this race, but they are now experienced wheel-to-wheel drivers, so we know they're quite used to the game, and I think that they've done quite well here before. Sega taking second place last season, so clearly good here, and whether it was luck or skill, seemed to avoid the initial incident pretty well, but Prev now on CHM looking to take that place. And he's down the outside and takes a position. Relatively straightforward.
Hard to keep a track of all the little dots of where they are on the map and look at the difference in the times just to try and see who you need to be with at what point here, because the gap with Xerxes and Woody keeps dropping and then going back to about a second and then keeps dropping again. But it looks like the Red Bull driver saved a bit more of his battery up this time around. He's a lot closer to the back of the racing point, so could this be the chance that he gets to get in front up into P5? Both drivers using all the tarmac they can there to get good drives going onto this back straight. Is the Red Bull going to be close enough for the DRS? And he's just outside the 1 second as they come across the line. By a tenth, I believe he's just missed out.
Might be a slight difference in setup there, because Xerxes does lose quite a bit on that same part of track, but he seems to claim it back in the middle sectors. So whether Xerxes is carrying the extra wing.
It's a catch-22, they're running a higher downforce around this track. You do get quicker pace for the likes of qualifying and all of that, but when it comes to the race, the main overtaking points are down these big long straights, and you need that straight line speed.
It is set to be dry throughout, but it is awfully cloudy now.
I think there's more clouds around here this evening than there was on Wednesday when we actually had the rain hit us. While I've been watching the Red Bull and the Racing Point have their little dance together, I completely missed the fact that Sega's actually come in for a fresh set of softs. So Blood and Sand back up to second. Cow still the race leader with a 30-second lead now on those mediums. And again, we've got the Red Bull of Xerxes. He's way within that DRS zone now, half a second, 4/10. He's getting closer and closer as they come across the line to get that. Down to 3/10, down to 2 with the DRS is wide open. He sends it up the inside of the racing point, down into 1 as they run wheel to wheel, and he's made it before the braking zone. He's going to be feeling relieved for that move now, just so he can actually see some track in front of him that doesn't have a bright pink car in it.
And Xerxes getting a great run out of turn 2 as well, and that gives him a comfortable gap While Woody did get DRS down into 3, not able to close that gap. Xerxes will try and extend the gap through the middle part of this track where he has been stronger than Woody over these last few laps, but of course those soft tires will be dying here pretty soon.
It does put the question out there, did Woody not fight as hard, probably knowing how long that Xerxes has been on those softs, knowing that it could just end up coming back to him in a couple of laps? Then again, saying that, both drivers should surely be due another stop, because even Woody, 10 laps on those mediums, because they were a U set when he put them on. Both these drivers could be taking this fight to the final lap. Just going to run a quick rundown, off the standings where we are. Lap 31 out of 51 this evening. Cal, your race leader on his mediums, strong for McLaren, got his 29-second gap to P2. Blood and Sand, who has a brilliant race so far, closely followed, I beg your pardon, by Sager in the Williams, only 11 seconds behind. And we've got just off the podium positions, Old Dad's in 4th, 6 seconds off the back there, and then just behind them is the likes of the battle we have been following for lap after lap here, of Xerxes in the Red Bull in P5 and Woody Wolfie in P6 for Racing Point. Then bringing up 7, 8 and 9 here, coming to the back end of the top 10, James in the McLaren, Prev in the Ferrari, a letdown estate for the second Red Bull seat, and then rounding out the top 10 we have CHM in the Mercedes, and last but not least, having a very strong drive this evening for his first wheel-to-wheel race on the hards, they got Dino for AlphaTauri.
Be interesting to see if Dino takes them hards to the end. They are 1.7 seconds slower, like for like, on fresh tyres compared to the softs. So CHM's likely to build a bit of a gap to him now, but we'll see how them hards feel when they're looking to be more in the region of 30 laps old. Probably not going to be very racy, but as we are here at Wheel to Wheel, it is points all the way down the grid, so 11th place will earn 10 points. So still worth rounding off and finishing this race.
I was just about to say that, even though he unfortunately isn't in a position where it looks like he could be making a pass anytime soon or gaining anything, unless there's any other accidents. It is his first race in the league, like I say, do correct me if I'm wrong, so the fact he's still going and he's made his one stop and he's still here now is some showing he's got the will to keep going in that respect. And like I say, points for all the positions, it's going to be worth his while even if he is where he is.
Yeah, not much going on track at the moment.
Yeah, I think a lot of people's strategies will force the pack to come together again as we get towards the end, but for right now, a lot of people on different tires and different age tires. No real battles happening, but gives us a chance to talk about Azerbaijan and the Baku City Circuit, which will be making a return after we missed out on going there last year due to COVID. I'm excited to watch this year's edition of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. It's always an exciting race.
Oh, definitely. And the fact that we saw it on Wednesday with the drag to the finish. We've seen that on multiple occasions, to be fair, in the real-life Formula 1 with Stroll, in the Williams and Bottas, and even the likes, I believe it was Perez as well, for Force India back then, nabbing a podium around this track. So we always see an interesting one there. As was discussing that, Xerxes is in on his set of softs. So there he was, a lap or two of fresh air. Now he's gone for a set of mediums to take him to the end now.
We have had a replay sent in from Maxi, because Maxi was out lap 1, and it does sort of show you a little bit of what was happening in that first incident. Xerxes kind of outbroke himself, went deep into turn 1, but then as he comes back on track, he's caught by James, which just sends the front of his car into the wall, and then the rear of his car just sort of sticks out into the track, which collects a lot of the cars, which unfortunately does put Maxi out of the race. So there will be some love lost between James and Xerxes, as that was not the only time that they've been involved in an incident together here at Baku. So it was a little while ago, but I did have some comments on the stream when we was talking about Haas, and we was talking about how poor the team's performance was, and I asked if it was talking real life or wheel to wheel. Kirk was saying I think both is accurate. Archie Go, saying to be fair, I only said that because Blood and Sand is my older brother. Lol. To be fair, Slugger has made Blood and Sand look like Hamilton this session, but to be fair, I mean, that was an early comment, but I think Blood and Sand's made himself look like Hamilton this session.
Yeah, he has had
he's done a phenomenal race.
Great drive from Blood and Sand. Absolutely.
And we got Joe Vernon saying evening. Evening, Joe. Vern is a fellow league racer on a different league, so good to see. Getting some support and some spectators from fellow leagues, which is always good. There's typically very friendly bunch between leagues. League racers are league racers, and we all seem to get on quite well. To be fair, we all just want a good race, fair battle. Evening, Joe.
And if you're watching this and want to get into some league racing, we have got a Discord and a Facebook page, don't we, Bloom?
Yep. The Facebook page, if you search Wheel2wheel Racing, you should find us on there. There is a sign-up button on there, which will take you to our website, and on our website you will find a link to our Discord. And most of the stuff is moving over to Discord now, and that's where I've just watched the Max's video from the start of this race. So he was obviously knocked out, so he's posted a video straight up. So quite rare that we get to see a view of what happened in the race from other people's perspective whilst we're still live on the stream. But yeah, good on our Discord. Everything's on there. So as soon as you join up, you can jump onto the Discord. You can get in the general chat. You can speak with all the league racers, and yeah, just get on and do some fair hard racing, which I think we've seen plenty of that here today. But I do think the steward's office will be quite busy on Tuesday when we meet to discuss any instance that has gone on. There was quite a few 5-second penalties at the start, which a few people might feel was unjustified, and we haven't had a full safety car here to negate that. So yeah, a few people will be feeling they're owed 5 seconds in this race, and because quite a few people pitted early, they had to serve them straight away, and because both players from each team had to pit, yeah, there was a big hold up from the start, which I think just shows you how much pace Xerxes does have, because Xerxes having to replace that wing early on, but he had to wait for a letdown estate to finish in the pits, come out to then have his wing took off again. And did he have another wing damage, or was that Woody? I can't recall now. There's been quite a few bits of carbon fibre coming off these cars this race.
He's had 2 wing changes. One was lap 1. He unfortunately had damage there, and then again with James in the McLaren with the questionable driving, defending and overtaking. It was just generally, that'll be an interesting one to see what the stewards say on that one there. But just to say, Bloom on the little Discord and Facebook thing, you sounds like you're a stone throw away of saying, and if you push the red button, you can drive on board with any of the drivers.
Well, we are currently driving on board with Woody, who is looking at the gearbox of the Ferrari car of Old Dad's Rule. Doesn't look to be under threat from an overtake this sector, so we will stay on board with these and see if Woody can make that move, as he is closing that gap increasingly every moment of this Grand Prix.
I think the two drivers that are really in prime position at the moment, I would say it'd be the leading two. Cal with over a pit stop to second place. He's gonna I presume he's gonna make another stop for the softs, go for that quickest lap, and Blood and Sand as well in the Haas, keeping that gap to around about 10 seconds to Sega, who again has got a small drop back to the two drivers you were just talking about, Old Dads and Woody. So Sega possibly could come under threat, but I think the top two drivers, unless we have some more pandemonium, could be an easy end for those two.
As we've seen many times throughout this race, Woody Wolfie draining all of his overtake, but so is Old Dad's in the Ferrari, so nothing to defend with, and Woody Wolfie's gonna send it down the inside at turn 1. Old Dad's not giving it up though, as he sticks it out around the outside and stays in front through turn 2. And here we go again, Woody with another dose of DRS, but he's not closing the gap as quickly as he did coming into turn 1, and he's not going to be able to get the move done. Old Dad keeps hold of 4th.
Yeah, good racing awareness from Woody there, leaving Old Dad's the room on the outside, but Old Dad's was very much side by side with him, so it wasn't his corner to just drive him out.
Well, there was a split second before these two drivers do get onto the back straight there. Just having a quick word with the man in the ear of Xerxes, with AL2. Sounds like he's being the race director or race chief for him this evening, just keeping him calm, keeping his head down, and it's proving he's doing a bloody good drive. Lost them there, but Woody right on the back of the Ferrari of Old Dad's pulls out to the right this time, and both drivers, the Racing Point using all of his battery to try, but Old Dad's has got enough to defend as they're coming down into one. Again, Racing Point sends it to the outside later on the brakes. Is he going to try and round the outside like he has done on Cal earlier during the race? And he has done, and this time he's made it stick. He had a little bit of extra room there to work with, and he's taken that and ran with it. Give him a metre, he'll take a mile.
That was fantastic driving from Woody there. Without the battery, I didn't think he was able to make the move.
He's not going to hold on to it long though. His Old Dad's has come straight back at him. Up the inside into 2, squeezing him on the exit. Still fair, there was room there. And again, just like that, it's been reset. Woody has to stare at the back end of that Scarlet car.
Phenomenal straight line speed of that Ferrari as they came towards turn 3 there, and I wasn't sure if Old Dad's was going to be able to make that move stick down the inside and leave enough room, but he did just about leave a car's width for Woody Wolfie. It was a great move, and he kept it clean as well, which is just as important as getting the position.
Incredibly close to the back of Old Dad's Woody is. but he's keen to get this move done and keep it this time. He's saved a bit more overtake, so he has now got 30%, of which he's already deploying to try and get right onto the back of that Scarlet car.
Old Dad's making it known early that he wants to break the toe. He's moved lines a couple of times here. And he's gonna make Woody try and send one down the inside. They're going wheel to wheel once again. And now Woody is ahead, going into turn 2. But can he hold it into turn 3? We saw last lap the straight line speed on that Ferrari. So here comes Old Dad's again. He's got DRS, both cars draining all the battery that they can possibly use. And now Old Dad's gonna have to go the long way around, and they're still wheel to wheels. They come towards turn 4. Woody trying to hang it out around the outside and does so beautifully.
Brilliant driving by these two guys. Again, it looked like we were going to have a repeat of last lap there. Woody running out of VRS and Old Dad's coming back at him, but that was very well defended by the Racing Point. And while these two have been having, like I say, their little scrap, Xerxes, the man who seems to be mentioned quite a lot at the moment this evening with everything going on, he's doing a brilliant drive and he's now only 5.5 seconds off the back of these two.
Yeah, fantastic battling from these two. As you say, that's allowing Xerxes to close that gap.
The guys in front, you would have assumed, would have to stop again on the mediums, even the two on the set of softs in the likes of Sega and Blood and Sand, so this really could be, open season here for Xerxes in the last 11 laps of the race.
You mentioned Blood and Sand, he's just come into the pits, but now Old Dad's behind Woody. He's outside of DRS, but can the straight line speed of that Ferrari take the position? He looks quite far back, and in fact it looks like he's positioning for a pit stop. Yeah, Woody is coming in. Old Dad, sorry, is coming in.
Looks like as well that unfortunately Blood and Sand had to have a wing change there as well, so his tyres may have come to the end of his life there, but he had to change the wing. So if Sega can put in a good lap or two now, he's really going to have a nice chance here to try and snatch that position back. But with all these different strategies, it's hard to tell who's going to be where, because Blood has just come out 1.5 seconds up the road from Xerxes.
All the strategies starting to come to fruition here as we get into the business end of this Grand Prix. Just 12 laps to go now, and a big lead out in front for Cal in the McLaren. But after that, who knows what the order's going to be at the end of this one.
We've had our lovely main course now, and here comes the desserts. It's going to be a good one.
Comments on the stream, Vern saying absolute quality racing. So yeah, I can't say it any better myself. Woody and
Old Dad's, yeah.
I was trying to figure out which Ferrari car it was. Then I'd forgotten. Old Dad's putting on a fantastic show there for our viewers. As you say, still much left to go. Cal, 23 laps on the mediums, is likely to pit again, looking to take the fastest lap. But Blood and Sand, Old Dad's on fresh rubber, he'll be looking to claim it first of all.
And a couple more cars coming into the pits. Sega Takaz getting off those 11 lap old soft tires to throw on another set to take to the end. And Woody Wolfie throwing on a fresh set of tires, soft tires, take to the end for himself. But Old Dad's has gotten the undercut on him.
Well, we know how hard it is to overtake around here, but with the main straight and more out of 2 into 3 being the main moments, even though some of these guys have done some brilliant overtakes in corners, I personally wouldn't try. But out of all of this, it's put Xerxes in the track position up into 3rd on his 7 lap old mediums. Now 10 to go. The guys behind are on softs, so they are going to be quicker, but it's going to be hard to pass.
When both the mediums and softs are fresh, there is a 1.1 second gap per lap in pace, and that gap will be even bigger now that Xerxes is on 7-lap-old mediums, so big tire difference between Xerxes and the 4 cars behind, all on the fresh soft tires, so it will be a big test for the Red Bull driver, see if he can hold on to that last podium place.
I think he's doing a good job though in the sense of that he's clearly running that high downforce, and where those fresh softs are going to make the majority of the difference is going to be through that middle sector. So he's negating some of that deficit in regards to the tyres and the grip. And by the time that we need one of those timing screens, predicted attack or predicted overtake in so many laps here, because I think he's going to have a couple laps before he's going to have the likes of Sega on the back of him. And then the likes of
and a
Dads.
letdown estate has had an off in the middle sector.
Yeah, that's caused a virtual safety car, which gives me a good time to mention now that Diggle commenting on my stream, Bloom smells, and Vern saying Betty doesn't mention that comment on his stream. But we can now have a short breather before we commence with the battle between Old Dads and Woody, and we are looking at round 2, and there was some phenomenal racing the first time round, so it will be interesting to see how this plays out now as they're on fresh rubber racing to the end. DRS is enabled and Woody is already looking up on the inside into turn 3 on Prev. Oh, no, Old Dad, sorry, I keep getting these cars mixed up, but Old Dad reclaims a position and doesn't let him take it, but runs deep into turn 4. But Woody, very hot on the tail there.
I mean, clearly your stream, you know, the people watching your stream Bloom know what they're talking about. They seem to be a good bunch of people. In regards to the racing that we have on here, all of this is going to be exactly what Xerxes is going to be wanting. Everyone behind fighting, they're all close in that respect on track on the same set of tyres, all same lap as well. 1 lap difference with Old Dads, of course, but yeah, it's anything like this could be helping that Red Bull driver out to salvage something after what all I can say has just been one hell of a race he's had to go through.
Xerxes already, that gap between him and Sega closing, but Woody looking to claim this position, and Old Dads might have DRS from a lapped car.
Yeah, that could really help him defend down into turn 1. Yep, DRS for Old Dads, DRS for Woody as well, but he's got a huge gap between him and the Ferrari, so no chance of making a move.
We know the straight line speed of that Ferrari is already quite incredible. Add DRS into the mix, and it's just going to make it even better.
And just, again, just a touch on something that's not really happening in regards to overtakes on track. Dino up into the top 10 now, after I was saying earlier about how he may not make another position on track. He's ahead of CHM and the Mercedes into the top 10.
Yeah, and
Sega.
He's right in front of this battle between Sega Takaz and Xerxes. So hopefully Dino can notice the blue flags and steer clear as he's ghosting through Xerxes in the castle section, and that's not what you want to be seeing if you're the car on the lead lap.
Bloom, you know all about trying to do a corner and a ghosting car in the way, and he does obscure what's the other side of it.
Yeah,
and what is Sega Takaz completely missing the corner?
I think both of them lost some end plate there.
And that is very uncharacteristic there of Sega Takaz. He's not one to usually make mistakes like that, but he completely missed his braking point.
Missed that one completely. I was watching Woody and Old Dads. Was it just a late break up the inside, or?
Yeah, and
a corner chop to do with it for good measure, but Woody, yeah. Oh, the straight line speed of Old Dads is just unbeatable at the moment, even with DRS. It's low on overtake.
Oh, and Woody catches the back of the Ferrari and spins around. Oh, just the slightest bit of contact, but very costly for Woody.
The last thing as well Xerxes is going to be wanting now is this lapped Alpha Tauri, who is just ghosting, but he's just driving alongside them. Well, I say alongside them, inside them, while this is going on.
So what do we have? 8 laps, 7 laps left of this Grand Prix.
The top two seem like they're pretty much set for where they are. Cal's gone onto a new set of mediums, which I've only just noticed.
And
Surprising he didn't go onto a set of softs to try and go for the fastest lap. He might feel confident. And then, yeah, Xerxes and Sega both missing the same end plate by the looks of it from the camera angles.
Did you just spot Cal putting in the fastest lap with the 1:42.3 on that medium set of tyres?
No, I didn't, because apparently my screen's not giving me any of that heads up. I didn't even get the virtual safety car earlier. I don't know what's happening here.
and there is a little bit of wing damage on the front right of that Ferrari, and I think that's helped Woody reel him back in. He's closed the gap by about 3 seconds this lap since he had that little spin, and I think old Dad's might not be able to put up much of a fight here over these next 6 laps because of that wing damage. And he is coming into the pits, it looks like.
Yeah, massive gap back to James, so if you don't think he's going to reclaim anything from Woody, it's worth changing that wing.
I'm going to be looking at Xerxes and Sega at round 2, 3, 4. I've lost count at this stage now, but he's slowly caught back in. It looks like losing the end plate on the Williams unsettled him for a lap or two, but he's composed himself and he's coming back for another stab at the cake for that final podium position. Meanwhile, still running in second.
I think they're both under threat there, because Xerxes has got wing damage as well as Sega, and with 7 laps to go and only 5 seconds difference, Woody, I think, could be on for a podium. Sorry, as you were saying about Blood and Sand.
I was just saying, yeah, I think with everything that's been going on behind him, all the pure pandemonium, he's kept it clean, and yeah, he's now 10 seconds clear in second place. I should do the lottery. I really should.
Well, yeah. Vern's happy with your comments, talking about our viewers on my stream. He says that we are quality, mate.
Yeah. They all know what they're talking about. Even whoever this Stiggle guy is as well. Even he just knows what he's talking about.
Sega not able to get into that DRS zone. Not for the last DRS straight, but he might be in for a chance on the next one. But Woody already taken seconds out of these two in front of him. DRS open on the Williams, slowly closing in on the Red Bull, but not enough for him to look to claim that position. Woody now only 2.6 seconds off Sega. So it will be an interesting close to the end of this Grand Prix, but Sega just teetering in and out of that DRS time of 1 second. But Woody now less than 2 seconds behind, so he will soon be in that DRS window also.
I think the Red Bull, they're running a higher downforce generally. With this slight bit of wing damage, it's going to affect him, but probably not as bad as we're seeing it affect the Williams or Sega. But that looks like why I think Xerxes is actually being able to hold where he is on 12 lap old mediums.
The 5 laps left of this Baku Grand Prix. Still plenty to play for. Woody could be looking at another podium.
I think if he does, it'll be a podium he would have felt that he would have, well, should have ended up with anyway after where he was on track and how his start went. Unfortunately, he's had a couple of incidents and he's done very well to get back to where he is, like with the other drivers who all had to stop at the beginning of the race and have lost bits of carbon fibre here and there, still going strong and fighting to the last lap.
Yeah, Sega's highest finish this season is third. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to take third on this Grand Prix, but still, a few things could happen. I think there's only really Blood and Sand who hasn't had any incident this race. I think everybody else has been involved in an incident in some form or another.
I think he's got enough of a buffer as well if Woody does clear the Williams and the Red Bull here. Don't think there's enough laps for those softs to really, well, for the Racing Point to go at the heart of P2. But saying that, talking about the Racing Point making a move, he's pulling up onto the back of Sega in the Williams. Going to be interesting to see how close he can get into one. The straight line of that Williams are very impressive, even with the damage. He's kept the position.
Woody's struggling to save some overtake to actually help him get that job done, but now Sega will have DRS to defend from the attack on Xerxes in front.
I wouldn't want to be the Williams. You wouldn't know if to look forward or look ahead, really. Prepare to defend or get ready to make a move on the guy in front. Whatever he decides to do, he's got to make sure it works though, because if he goes for a move on the Red Bull and it doesn't pay off, he knows he's coming out in P5 out of this trio.
Yeah, I think his biggest threat is Woody behind him. I think he's been trying to get the move on Xerxes for a while, so it's probably not something that he can materialise, whereas the Woody still very much could take the position from Sega.
I think if any one of these three drivers do get, whoever ends up on that third step of the podium is going to be well deserved for all of them. They've all gone through a lot this Grand Prix, all starting in different areas and different things happening. So the fact they're all together now fighting for this, final bit of shiny silverware, it's going to be the motivation they all need.
Well, yeah, in comparison of pace, Sega shouldn't be here in this race between these two, because these two have got outstanding pace, but Sega has just done an awesome Grand Prix, and it does look like Woody is going to be getting that move done now.
Sega, though, has got DRS to help defend, and Woody's out of battery once again, so he just can't get that last bit of pace that he needs to make the move, and Sega's able to keep fourth through turn 1 and into turn 2.
Right now, Xerxes keeping Sega within that DRS zone, not too close. It's actually helping him keep third place.
Oh, and a late move
by Woody into the turn and a bit of contact. Didn't spot any carbon fibre coming off the cars there.
No, that was a fantastically late dive, but I think he did just enough to make it legit.
He definitely wanted to make it clear he was getting past with enough laps to go to have a go at the podium. So now he's got, what, 2.2 to Xerxes?
Certainly caught Sega off guard there, but it was evident that he was struggling to get the job done on the start-finish straight. There was a little bit of carbon fibre on the floor through that castle section there, so I don't know if that was off Xerxes, if he's lost any more wing.
No, it looks the same as normal. Just double checking our front two guys. Didn't have any issues there. In top three all have their front wing as they were in that respect.
Sega already 2 seconds down from Woody.
5 tenths gained in that middle sector as well from the Racing Point driver. So again, they're going to be coming on to their fifth lap. This will be their lap 50, I believe, as the leader has already gone round. So 2 to go, 1.5 seconds in it. Can Woody get Xerxes for that final spot on the podium? And another one, depending on the pace, to be fair, I'll be interested to see if he can do it, is CHM on those 7 lap-old softs compared to Dino on 38 lap-old hards. Gaps down to 6.5.
That's fair play to Dino for taking them hard tyres this far into this race.
He's just done the whole race, really. Yeah, it's fair play to him for his first Grand Prix as well. I will keep saying that phrase as well, unless one of you corrects me, because I believe it is his first race.
Yes,
Dino,
I
yes.
think it is.
His debut in wheel-to-wheel racing, and it has been a good one. Now Woody inching closer to the back of that Red Bull, and he's right on the verge of DRS range. He's just about under a second as they come towards Sector 3.
He's got a couple attempts down into the turn 1 now, down into turn 3, and then down to the start-finish line on the final lap, but I don't think he's going to want to have all 3. It looks like he's going to try and take it at the very first chance he gets. Racing Point very low on battery, very low on fuel as well. DRS is going to be wide open. What is the straight line speed going to be like between the two guys as they head down into turn 1? Xerxes moves to the inside to defend against the Racing Point. So they go side by side into the braking zone.
Oh!
Woody hits the back of Xerxes. M plate flying off the front of the Racing Point there, and I believe I didn't see anything further come off the back of the Red Bull. But I think he got a bit caught unawares, 2 into 1 again, which is something the stewards are going to have to review. But definitely a good fight up until then.
Cal's just entering the final sector now to finish off this Grand Prix, but Woody and Xerxes outbraking himself there and coming across the front of Woody, costing Woody a little bit of wing damage, and you see Cal coming down the opposite side as he's coming to round off and finish this race. Matt, I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, not the cleanest of drives from all of our drivers today, but Cal did what he needed to do to work his way through the pack, and he wins the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Championship leader extending his lead in the table. And now Blood and Sand coming through the final few corners. And at the beginning of our broadcast, we talked about how Haas wouldn't have been doing America proud, but this man has changed all that today. Blood and Sand working his way all the way up to second. And it's a great result for Haas. Blood and Sand finishes second.
You're going to want to cut to P3 very quickly, though, as we could end up with a drag side by side to the line if Xerxes can get close enough.
Yeah,
It's reeling him in.
both cars with no overtake to work
They move
with.
to the side to make the move. Oh, that was
Woody
close.
holds on to third. Xerxes has to settle for fourth after a roller coaster of a race for him. Sega to cause in fifth. And it'll be Old Dads in sixth, and I believe Old Dads with the fastest lap of the race as well. James in the McLaren will finish seventh. He will be the last of our drivers to cross the line. What a race that was. So much to talk about. And no doubt about it, Blood and Sand, driver of the day. What a drive for the Haas man.
Yeah, well deserved. Fantastic race from Sega to Cos also, I must mention. But our podium there, we've got Cal on the top step, Blood and Sand taking second, and Woody will be taking on completing that podium. I mean, Woody was always up there. Shame for Xerxes to be involved in so many instances. I think he had a fair shot also, but yeah, fantastic Grand Prix, as Matt says. Lots to talk about, lots to see in the appeals, and lots to see how that affects the final results. But the results, as they stand at the moment, we have Cal in first place for McLaren, as it says, extending his championship lead. Blood and Sand in second place. Woody Wolfie in third. Xerxes in fourth. Sega Decos in fifth. Old Dad Rules in sixth. James in seventh. Prev in eighth. Let Down Estate in ninth. Dino in 10th. Rounding off to complete the grid is CHM in 11th, and we had James Laws, Silver Slugger, and Maxi all DNF from that race. But we will be joined very shortly by our podium finishers and to see if they want a post-race interview.
Yeah, and if Bloom, you could get Blood and Sand an invite, so maybe he could join, talk about that tremendous drive that he had. Blood and Sand not on my friends list, unfortunately, but we can go ahead and start with our race winner, and that was quite a roller coaster, wasn't it, Cal?
Yeah, it was. It was. I mean, after the lost the wing, I think a few of us lost the wing after that. Was it a virtual safety car at the start? And yeah, it did feel like Woody just sped up a little bit because I saw the green flags, and then I slammed my brakes on. I think I tapped him. Lost a little bit more, I think the two guys behind as well. I'm not sure. I'll have to look back, but I mean, I'm not sure what happened after that, because obviously I pitted, and I was surprised to come out. I wasn't surprised to come out ahead or around Woody, but I was surprised that he wasn't able to get past and pull away. Obviously having the older tyres and soft tyres, which were starting to degrade.
And it looked like you were going to have a big job on your hands getting ahead of Woody in the racing point, but then some wing damage for him, and then it really just opened up for you in the second half of that race.
Yeah, I mean, the first half was good. Once we got sort of side by side after the start, and we closed the gap again, and we got side by side, it was good racing. I enjoyed it. I think he was a little bit slow on the straights. I was waiting until he pulled out of my slipstream. I knew he'd have DRS, but then I just opened the ERS, and yeah, just managed to stay either just alongside him, out braking, whatever it was. I knew he had a bit more wing, obviously, with his speed, so I was wary of him braking late and things like that. But I think it was good racing. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was certainly great to watch, and that extends your championship advantage. It's now looking like a pretty big gap at the top, and after maybe not getting the best result possible the last few weeks, not winning as you were accustomed to after the first few races, you're now back on the top step. And what does that mean now, getting towards the halfway point in this season and extending that championship lead?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously not winning the last few races wasn't perfect, whether it was strategy or just bad track position and things like that really hampered me. I mean, I didn't have the pace at Monaco, that's for sure. It's probably the only race this season where I genuinely didn't have the pace, but the other ones were hurt a little bit because I knew I had pace there to win, and it just didn't happen. So today it was nice to first and foremost have that battle, but then be able to come out on top was even better. And it almost felt like this was the first win, because obviously you've got Xerxes there. I know he's got one lap pace, he didn't have the best race today, but I know Woody's really quick. They've won the last two races, so it felt like it's the first time we've all been together and I've actually won. Well, China as well, but since they sort of hit form, then it's nice to be back there.
Yeah, really impressive drive. So congrats on the win, Cal, and thank you for joining. And now the man who finished third and had to battle to get back on the podium after you looked in control, and then, as we could say for many of our drivers, it was a roller coaster up and down all race long for you, Woody.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was an incredible race, to be honest. It didn't go my way a few times. I binned it into the barrier at the castle section when I was right behind Cal, and I had to go into an alternative strategy where I took damage again. It was unfortunate, but yeah, I just had to try and come back up through the field. I was thinking maybe I could get to fourth. I didn't think I could get on the podium, but hopefully all of the moves in the race were okay, I hope.
Yeah, we saw a battle between you and Old Dads in the Ferrari, which was by far and away the best battle we saw all day. Talk us through that one, because that was incredible to watch.
Old Dads was, yeah, we were both very fair with each other on track. I couldn't get past him on the straights, even with all my DRS and everything, but We battled side by side for a good few corners, which was I knew that one was clean. I was hoping all of the others were okay as well. But all in all, I'm pretty happy with the racing.
Yeah, and then
with Cal in the start, with old dads in the middle, and the people at the end. It was
Yes, it was a great finish to the Grand Prix, seeing you battling with Xerxes. But as we say, incident-filled race for many of the cars.
Yeah,
there.
It was a shame into turn 1 in the last lap. I think Xerxes just braked a little bit too late, and I wanted to come up his inside, but I ended up taking damage. It was tight on the line at the end with the DRS. How close was he behind? Probably like a tenth of a second.
it was just over a tenth. I think 0.124 of a second. So really close.
All in all, wasn't a perfect race, but I'll take it. It was good fun.
It was a good recovery drive. You can definitely take that away from this Grand Prix.
Yeah, absolutely. Great recovery, getting yourself back on the podium, and thank you for joining us, Woody. So we have Woody finishing third, and Cal, our race winner, with those interviews. Thank you, boys, for joining us. It was a great race to watch, and we look forward to another one next week.
Thank you all. Stay safe.